What if you had like a second brain that just never forgot a brilliant 3 a.m. thought or, perfectly corralled your chaotic college schedule from 3 years ago and actually helped you connect your most scattered random ideas together?
I mean, it sounds completely like science fiction, or at least the kind of highly paid personal assistant team that only a CEO could afford, right? But the reality is the architecture for this actually exists right now, and anyone can build it.
Welcome back, divers, to the Deep Dive Classroom. Today, we are looking at how to just completely cure information overload by fundamentally changing how we store our thoughts.
Yeah, it's a huge paradigm shift.
It really is. So our mission today is exploring the concept of the Everything Notebook, specifically built inside Google's NotebookLM. And we're drawing heavily on some really fascinating strategies shared by tech writer Manur Faisal.
Right, she has some great insights.
I invite all of you divers to grab a notebook, ironically, or just think along with us as we go. Let's start with a visual here. We all have that messy drawer in our house, right? The one in the kitchen where everything just gets shoved.
Oh, yeah. Batteries, old receipts, rubber bands.
Exactly. A stray screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine if that drawer was magically organized by this genius assistant who could just reach in and instantly hand you exactly what you needed the exact second you asked for it.
That is honestly a highly accurate way to look at what an everything notebook actually does.
Really, just a magical junk drawer.
Pretty much. I mean, the core philosophy here is creating a personalized AI by loading a single centralized digital notebook with, well, all the general knowledge you use, consume, or generate on a daily basis.
Okay, so just everything in one place.
Yeah. The idea actually traces back to Stephen Johnson. He's this editorial author and science writer who was heavily involved in the early development of NotebookLM at Google.
Right, right.
And he published a piece on the Keyboard blog outlining his top strategies. And his foundational recommendation was literally to create one massive main notebook before you even, think about setting up specific topic-based folders.
Which goes against basically everything we've been taught about digital organization since, what, the 1980s?
Completely.
Like we're trained to create a folder for finances, a folder for creative writing, a folder for recipes. You're saying his approach is to just start with one giant bucket called everything.
Yes, because, well, the old way of organizing forces you to do all the heavy lifting. Think about the cognitive load of traditional filing.
It's exhausting.
Right. The exact moment you have a thought or save a link, you have to stop and make a decision like, where does this belong?
And then you just don't do it.
Exactly. That friction is usually why we end up with thousands of unorganized notes on our phones. The Everything Notebook just removes that friction. You load it up with the general knowledge of your life.
So inspirational quotes, workplace documents, whatever.
Yeah, brainstorming ideas. Because the goal isn't just to get generic answers from an AI like you would from a standard search engine. The goal is to build an AI that draws exclusively from your specific world.
And clearly, I mean, there is massive value in that tailored approach. It's really interesting to note that the original founders of NotebookLM actually left Google and recently launched a new startup called Hux.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and they are chasing this exact concept, the highly personalized private AI.
Well, it makes sense because they recognize that a general AI that knows everything about Wikipedia is useful, sure, but an AI that knows everything about how you work, that's transformative.
Totally. And to really understand what that looks like in practice, we should look at what Manor Faisal actually threw into her notebook to create this second brain.
Yeah, her left is wild.
When I read her source article, her list of inputs was honestly kind of shocking. She didn't just upload polished documents. She added half-finished Apple notes written at 3 a.m. She uploaded creative writing ideas she came up with when she was 13 years old. She included mundane daily to-do lists.
She threw in literally everything that makes up her daily context. Since she's a full-time student, she added her college course descriptions, a university mission brochure, her class schedule.
And it goes further into her personal life, too. She included lists of her hyperfixations, her various hobbies. Then on the professional side, she added links to her published articles, headlines that performed well, and even direct critical feedback from her editors.
Yeah, and by doing that, she is feeding the AI the underlying patterns of her life. Her priorities, her tone of voice, her interests, and her obligations.
Okay, wait, hold on, though. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
My phone notes from 3 a.m. are literal nonsense.
Yeah.
Half the time, I wake up and read them, and I don't even know what I meant. So if I dump 13-year-old expired ideas and chaotic ramblings into this AI, doesn't it just become a digital landfill?
That's a super common fear.
Right. Like if you put garbage data in, shouldn't you get garbage output?
It's a very natural skepticism. We're so conditioned by traditional databases like, SQL databases or even just the standard search bar on your computer. In those systems, bad data absolutely ruins the search results.
Exactly.
But with a large language model, the chaos is actually the point. The AI doesn't get overwhelmed by a messy list of half-baked ideas or fragmented sentences.
Why not, though? How does it process that differently than a normal database?
Because it's not looking for perfect data entry, it's looking for semantic patterns. So those 13-year-old writing ideas might be expired or, poorly written, but they contain structural patterns about the types of themes or stories you naturally gravitate toward.
Oh, I see.
And the daily to-do lists, even if they are just really messy bullet points, they teach the model what your recurring projects are and how you prioritize your time. It uses the chaos to understand the nuances of how you think.
So it's basically filtering out the noise to find the underlying signal. It's not judging the quality of the 3 a.m. note. It's just like learning the vocabulary of my brain.
Yes. This completely flips the script on how we save information. You no longer have to curate perfectly. You can literally just gather your scattered screenshots, the book lists sitting in your notes app, random shower thoughts, and dump them into one place.
I love that concept. That's actually our first application for the divers listening today.
Yeah.
Try this simple exercise. Dump the chaos. Just grab all those random lists and put them in one spot.
Just let it go. Stop organizing.
Exactly. But, gathering all this data is really only half the battle. A massive database is completely useless if you can't easily get the information back out.
Right.
So once the chaos is dumped, how does this actually help someone function day to day?
Okay, so this is where we transition from simply storing information to actually making sense of it. The real power of an everything notebook is its flawless retrieval system.
Okay.
Manure points out in her article that she has, in her own words, the memory of a goldfish.
Relatable.
Very relatable. And the system changed her life because she no longer relies on her organic memory to hold on to specific details.
Which makes total sense. Biologically, our brains are optimized for having ideas, not for long-term storage of rigid data.
Exactly. Think about how we traditionally save a passing thought or a piece of inspiration. Say you see a quote in a book or online that really resonates with you. If you're like most people, you might take a screenshot on your phone.
Oh, absolutely. My camera roll is a graveyard of screenshots, recipes, quotes, book recommendations, and I will literally never see them again because they just get buried under 1,000 pictures of my dog.
Right. It's stored, but it's not retrievable. But Manure saves that quote into her everything notebook. And here is where the technology becomes almost magical.
Tell me.
A month later, she might forget the exact wording of the quote. She might forget who said it. She might only remember her interpretation of it or the general feeling it gave her. But because she's using an AI powered by semantic search, she can just type in her vague interpretation and NotebookLM will pull up the exact quote.
Okay, we need to pause on that because semantic search is a term that gets thrown around a lot. How does it actually know what I mean if I don't use the right keywords?
Okay, let's use a city map analogy.
Yeah.
Think of a traditional search engine, like a very literal taxi driver.
Okay.
If you ask to go to the Bean Juice Cafe and the actual name of the place is the Coffee Roaster, the driver says, never heard of it, I can't take you there. It requires an exact keyword match.
Right, it's just matching the characters you type to the characters in the document.
Yes, but semantic search works by plotting every word and concept on a massive multidimensional map based on its meaning. So coffee, espresso, bean juice, and caffeine all live in the exact same neighborhood on this map.
Oh, wow.
So when you ask NotebookLM about that vague quote regarding, feeling overwhelmed at work, it doesn't just scan your documents for the word overwhelmed. It drops a pin in that neighborhood of meaning.
That is so cool.
Right. It looks for documents containing words like stress, burnout, too many tasks, or exhaustion. It understands the concept you are looking for, even if your search terms are completely different from the original text.
That is incredibly powerful. It bridges the gap between how human memory works, which is associative and messy, and how computers store data. And I assume this works for rigid data too, not just vague concepts.
Oh, absolutely. Manure gives a great example of this. Instead of hunting down a specific PDF on her clunky college portal to figure out her schedule, she just opened her everything notebook and asked for her third semester course breakdown.
And it worked.
It delivered the exact schedule instantly. with 100% accuracy because the syllabus was already in her notebook.
So it's finding facts and quotes perfectly. But finding a quote is really just fetching data. If it actually understands my tastes and my context based on all this chaos, can it help me make decisions? Because honestly, half the time, my problem isn't finding information, it's being paralyzed by too many choices.
Decision fatigue is a massive issue, and this is a brilliant use case. It absolutely helps with choices. Manur actually uses her notebook as an indecision buster.
How does that work? This is a perfect application for our divers to try out.
Yeah, so she has a massive list of books she wants to read, all dumped into the notebook. When she has free time, instead of staring at a list of 50 titles and feeling overwhelmed, she types a very simple prompt.
What does she ask?
She literally types, "Hello, I want to read a random book from my list today. Can you suggest one?" And the AI will randomly select and suggest one from her curated list.
That is deceptively simple. You're basically outsourcing the cognitive load of choosing to infer an entity that only has your best interests in mind because it's choosing from a list you already vetted.
Exactly. And because the AI understands context, you can layer nuances onto that prompt.
Like what?
You could say, I've had a really stressful day at work and my brain is fried. Suggest a movie from my watch list that is lighthearted and under 2 hours. Yeah, the AI will cross-reference your personal watch list with its broad external understanding of movie runtimes and genres, and just pick the perfect option for your current mood.
That moves way beyond just a search engine. It's acting like a personal curator, which, leads me to wonder if the AI can retrieve facts this perfectly and it can make nuanced suggestions by cross-referencing my data, can it synthesize entirely new things? Are we moving past retrieval into actual creation?
That is the next frontier of this technology. We are moving from a memory aid to a creative collaborator, because your Everything Notebook now contains your published articles, your preferred headlines, and even your 3 a.m. notes. It inherently understands your unique tone of voice.
So if I ask it to draft an email or a blog post, it won't sound like that generic, robotic, overly enthusiastic AI voice we are all so tired of reading.
It shouldn't, because its primary training data for your specific queries is you. Manur noted that she has been creating a lot of short-form video content, TikToks, and Reels. She fed the notebook her scattered, unformatted bullet points for video ideas and asked it to generate a script.
Did it write a script she could actually use? Like, did she just read it straight to the camera?
She admitted she wouldn't use the generated script exactly as is. It still needed her final human touch. But the crucial part is that it provided a massive head start.
Right, it gets you past the blank page.
Completely eliminating the dreaded blank page syndrome. And when it comes to creation, NotebookLM has a massive advantage over standard chatbots.
Which is?
Strict citations.
Oh, how does that change the creative process?
Well, one of the biggest fears with AI is hallucination, right? When the AI confidently makes up a fact that sounds true but is completely wrong.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
But NotebookLM grounds its answers in your documents. If it suggests a talking point for your script and you think, wait, did I actually say that? Where did that number come from? You just hover over the citation number it provides.
It links back.
It takes you directly to the source document, highlighting the exact sentence it pulled the information from.
Wow, that gives you total confidence in the output. It grounds the AI's creativity in your actual reality.
Precisely. It builds trust between you and the system.
When you look at how other people are adapting this, the strategies get remarkably sophisticated. I was digging into the comment section of Manur's article, and a user named Cav shared a fascinating tactic. He took this Everything Notebook idea and leveled it up by splitting his persona.
That's an interesting approach. How did he divide it?
So Cav created 2 distinct notebooks. First, he built a me notebook. This included his personal hobbies, the results from his empathy and personality tests, his life goals, things he loves, and importantly, a list of things that annoy him.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. He also threw in examples of his past personal emails and social posts to capture his casual writing style.
That is an incredibly comprehensive personal profile.
But then he built a completely separate second notebook, the company notebook. This one holds his organization's structure, their technical processes, the tech stack they use, and all their rigid brand guidelines.
Ah, I see the strategy there. By separating them, he isolates the context.
Exactly.
He avoids crossing the streams between his personal quirks and his professional obligations. If he needs to write a corporate report, he doesn't want the AI suddenly bringing up his hyperfixation on 1970s sci-fi movies.
Exactly. And Cav takes this a step further. This is a great exercise for you, the persona split. He doesn't just use these inside Notebook LM. He takes these highly curated notebooks and attaches them as source material to his external Gemini chats.
Really?
Yeah, he says this gives him hyper-detailed and relevant results that are perfectly tailored either to his personal life or his company's exact specifications.
That is a phenomenal power user strategy. It allows you to take your personalized context and plug it into different, perhaps more powerful reasoning engines depending on the task at hand.
But there is a technical catch to doing that, and another commenter named Bob brought this up. Bob pointed out that if you attach your entire life's history, like hundreds of documents, all your thoughts to a single external chat, doesn't that clog up the AI's processing memory? He was asking about how this impacts the token count and the context window.
Bob is highlighting a very real technical limitation that power users need to understand. To grasp why this matters, we really have to talk about context windows.
Let's break that down. What exactly is a context window?
Okay, think of a context window as the AI's active short-term memory, or like the surface area of a physical desk.
Okay, a desk.
You might have a massive filing cabinet next to you that's your everything notebook with thousands of pages. But you only have enough physical space on your desk to lay out, say, 20 pages at a time to actively read them.
Right.
Those 20 pages represent the AI's token limit. Tokens are essentially the fragments of words the AI processes.
So if I try to take my entire 500-page diary out of the filing cabinet and dump it all onto the small desk at once, what happens?
It spills onto the floor. The AI basically loses track of what it's doing. In an external chat, if you exceed the token limit, the AI will either reject the prompt entirely, or worse, it will forget the beginning of your diary by the time it reads the end, leading to highly inaccurate answers.
If that's the case, then how does Notebook LM actually handle an everything notebook? If I'm dumping years of chaos into it, aren't I way over the token limit?
This is where the architecture of NotebookLM shines compared to a standard chatbot. It uses a process called retrieval augmented generation, often referred to as RAG.
RAG, okay.
Right. It doesn't force the AI model to read the entire filing cabinet every time you ask a question.
It's just not putting all 500 pages on the desk.
Right. When you ask a question, NotebookLM first uses that semantic map we talked about earlier to search the cabinet. It finds the 3 or 4 specific pages that are actually relevant to your prompt.
I get it.
Then it takes only those relevant pages and puts them on the desk for the AI to read and synthesize an answer. It keeps the desk clean and stays well within the token limit.
That makes total sense. Notebook LM acts as the intelligent librarian, fetching the right documents before handing them over to the AI to do the thinking.
Exactly.
But Bob's warning is still valid. If you try Cav's trick of exporting these massive notebooks to external chats that might not have that sophisticated retrieval system optimized.
Yes, very valid. If you just dump a massive text file of your life into a standard Gemini or ChatGPT prompt without a retrieval system acting as a buffer, you will hit those token limits and degrade the quality of the response.
So it's about being strategic.
Completely. Dump the chaos, but know which bucket of chaos you're handing to the AI for a specific task.
This has been an incredibly eye-opening look at how we manage our digital lives. Let's synthesize the main takeaways from everything Manure, Stephen Johnson, and the community have shared today.
Sounds good.
First, the concept of an everything notebook relies on chaos. It's a personalized AI built on your real-world, unpolished notes, which completely eliminates the friction of deciding where to file things.
Just dump it all in.
Exactly. Second, it utilizes semantic search, meaning it retrieves your thoughts based on concepts and context, not just rigid keyword matching. It finds the neighborhood of your idea.
Right, the bean juice cafe versus coffee roaster. And third, it transitions from a simple storage locker into a creative collaborator.
Oh, yeah?
Because it ingests your past writing and feedback, it learns your specific tone and can help you generate new content, whether that's a video script or an email, while providing strict citations to ensure it's not hallucinating facts.
It really shifts the paradigm. We spend so much energy trying to be perfectly organized librarians of our own thoughts when we really should just be letting the machine do the sorting.
That is the ultimate why behind all of this. I mean, in our current age of information overload, your limiting factor is almost never a lack of good ideas. You have plenty of ideas.
So many ideas.
Your limiting factor is the friction of finding those ideas and connecting them together when you actually need them. When you build a system like this, you completely remove the friction of filing and searching. It liberates your biological brain to do what it does best, actual deep thinking.
It frees up the mental RAM from a messy drawer of 3 a.m. thoughts to a seamless, personalized collaborator.
Absolutely. And, as you consider building your own everything notebook, there is one final, perhaps slightly philosophical thought to mull over.
Oh, I like philosophical. Lay it on us.
We've talked about this entire system as a tool for productivity and efficiency, right?
Right.
But if you successfully dump your entire personality, your weird quirks, your 13-year-old ideas, your career ambitions, and your deepest memories into an AI model, at what point does that digital notebook stop being just a tool and start becoming a true digital extension of you?
Wow. That is a profound question to end on. Where does the tool end and the user begin?
Well, divers, I encourage you to take 10 minutes today to just start creating your own everything notebook. Dump the chaos. And if you enjoyed today's lesson, please smash that like button, subscribe so you never miss a lesson. Check out the affiliate links in the description for tools to boost your productivity, and grab an exclusive deep dive classroom mug from our Fourth Wall merch store. Finally, jump into the comments and suggest what topic we should tackle in the next lesson. Thank you for exploring the architecture of the personalized AI with us today. Keep questioning, keep connecting those ideas, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.